The Conjuring franchise has become one of the most chilling horror movies of recent times. The latest installment, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, continues the spine-tingling story of Ed and Lorraine Warren as they investigate a case involving a murder suspect who claims to have been possessed by a demonic entity. But what is the true story behind this terrifying tale? In part 1 of this video, we delved into the gruesome murders behind the doors, and today we will continue with the investigation. Stick around and we'll ask the question, was this a hoax? Before we begin, we'd love you to subscribe and turn on the notifications, and don't forget to like this video. Recap. Here is a quick recap of what happened in part 1. We know that the film begins with Ed and Lorraine Warren attending the exorcism of a little boy named David Glatzel. Like the fictional account, Ed and Lorraine Warren went to the early 1980s exorcism of a little child named David Glatzel. Arne Cheyenne Johnson, 19, the boyfriend of Debbie, David's older sister, was also present. Johnson allegedly ordered the demon possessing David to enter him during this exorcism instead, and the demon allegedly obeyed. After an argument fueled by alcohol, Johnson killed his landlord, Alan Bono, with a knife a few weeks later, on February 16, 1981. Today, we are going to investigate further the topic of this murder and what were its after effects. Did Lorraine Warren observe the demon? In the movie, Lorraine Warren had observed the demon, but did she observe it in real life? And what happened? According to Lorraine, during an interview with the possessed boy, David Glatzel, she witnessed a black mist materialize next to him, indicating the presence of a demon. The atmosphere around the incident was dark and eerie. While David's mother thought it could be a ghost, the Warrens dismissed that possibility, as reported by Newsweek. According to the Warrens, it turned out to be a demon. We know that Arne Cheyenne Johnson then challenges the demon to possess him instead of the boy, David Glatzel. This is said to be accurate in the genuine narrative of The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. One of the demons is said to have left the youngster, David Glatzel, and entered the body of his elder sister's boyfriend, Arne Cheyenne Johnson, after Arne encouraged the demon to do so. Arne reportedly shouted, "Take me on, leave my buddy alone," according to demonologist Ed Warren. Then, it is claimed that the demon turned its attention to Arne, which resulted in Alan Bono's death. Lorraine Warren then called the Brookfield police and said the demon was to blame for the murder the day after Johnson was taken into custody. Johnson claimed he didn't remember stabbing Bono, but didn't explicitly declare that the devil forced him to do it. Johnson did, however, inform the police. In the words of an officer present at the time, "I think I hurt someone." Was there any previous bad blood between Alan Bono and Arne? Another crucial aspect that Alan Bono's murder holds is whether he and Arne Johnson had any previous bad blood. Debbie Glatzel stated that Arne Johnson, her boyfriend, had visited Alan Bono's home to fix his audio. She claimed that the two men fought over who would pay for the stereo repair due to Alan's heavy consumption of red wine. She claimed that when Arne stabbed Alan, he appeared to be in some trance. But according to stories, the three of them grew close during the 3 months that Debbie Glatzel and Arne Johnson lived close by the kennel that Alan Bono lived above. Regarding the short and stocky Alan, Debbie's mother, Judy reportedly stated, "There should be more men like him." The Brookfield police believe Debbie and Alan's relationship may have been more than employer-employee. Still, Debbie said that Alan was an alcoholic and that he could make friends with anybody. She denied that there was any previous bad blood between the three. However, there is a twist. Even The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It doesn't explicitly depict Alan as a jealous lover, but it does show him grabbing Debbie. In the 1983 TV movie, The Demon Murder Case, starring Kevin Bacon, the idea of the envious lover was presented. Martin Minnella, Arne Johnson's attorney, tried to file a not guilty plea on demonic possession 8 months after the murder. Arne Johnson killed Alan Bono while acting under the influence of the devil, according to Minnella, but it does show him grabbing Debbie. In the 1983 TV movie, The Demon Murder Case, starring Kevin Bacon, the idea of the envious lover was presented. Martin Minnella, Arne Johnson's attorney, tried to file a not guilty plea on demonic possession 8 months after the murder. Arne Johnson killed Alan Bono while acting under the influence of the devil, according to Minnella, who said that his client was possessed by a demon and it was a demon who actually manipulated his body. It was the first documented court case in American history where the defense attempted to establish its innocence by arguing that a demon possessed the defendant. Manella, Arne's lawyer, gave the Warrens credit for his defense plan, a novel religious variation on the plea of not guilty because of insanity. Everybody asks, how could you come up with a defense like this? I didn't come up with this, Manelli told the Washington Post. This is what was presented to me. After talking to them, I went to see Ed and Lorraine and decided to take the case. They told me that when you're possessed, you have no control over your actions. The trial became known as the Devil Made Me Do It case as word of the novel defense reached the media. The Amityville horror case brought famed paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren back into the public eye. It garnered headlines all around the world. The existence of God has been discussed in court, as Lisa Minnelli stated to the New York Times. They will now have to deal with the devil's existence. Martin Minnella, the lawyer, is renamed Meryl in the film and is portrayed as a woman. Despite all the publicity and buildup, the jury was never even made aware that Arne might be under the influence of a demon. Minnella's witness list, which included Catholic priests, skeptics, and family members of the Glatzel's, was dismissed by Superior Court Judge Robert J. Callahan. The judge declared in front of a press-packed courtroom that the court will take judicial notice that the profession, the business, or hobby of locating demons has not risen to that level of viability where it would be of assistance to the jury in deciding the case, and it would be incompetent evidence and I would not allow it. The jury found Johnson guilty of first-degree manslaughter on November 24, 1981, meaning they thought he intended to hurt but not kill Bono. He received a 10 to 20-year sentence but only served about 5. Is it possible that the Devil Made Me Do It case was a hoax? Another thing that comes to mind is whether The Devil Made Me Do It was a hoax. When Jared Brittle's book, The Devil in Connecticut, in which Lorraine Warren was involved, was reprinted in 2006, David's brother Carl Glatzel spoke out against it. Carl claims that the Warrens promised the family that the tale of demonic possession would make them millionaires. In truth, only $2,000 was given to the Glatzel family. David, Carl's younger brother, was reportedly experiencing a mental condition at the time but has since recovered. He said that Ed and Lorraine Warren used their influence over and exploitation of the entire family. In 2007, the authors of a book on the case, Jared Brittle and Lorraine Warren, were sued by David Glatzel and his brother over the assertion that David had never been possessed. His brother said in an interview, "My brother was never possessed. He, along with my family, was manipulated and exploited, something the Warrens were very good at, and along with their author, Jared Brittle, they concocted a phony story about demons in an attempt to get rich and famous at our expense, and we have the evidence to prove it." Carl Glatzel sued the book writers Brittle and Lorraine Warren, and the case was dismissed. Brittle told the newspaper the book was taken out of print because of the lawsuit. In response, Brittle claimed his book was based on fact and had interviewed the Glatzel family for more than 100 hours, which he had video evidence. Lorraine also said the 6 priests who had performed exorcisms on David all agreed that he had been possessed. "I did it because I was fed up with the case and Carl Glatzel," Brittle said. "It just wasn't worth it to me. It had no bearing on the fact that the book was true." Where are the Glatzels and Arne Johnson now? Let's discuss where David Glatzel and the others are now. As for David's dropped off the radar, his brother, Carl Glatzel Jr., has already spoken to the press, stating he's doing well and has moved on from the supposed mental health troubles Carl alleges he suffered as a child. Carl argues that David has just recovered. Regarding Arne and Debbie, mentioned above, and in the film's closing credits, Johnson served the first 5 years of a 10 to 20-year sentence before being released in January 1986 due to his good behavior. On January 30th, 1985, Johnson and Debbie got married while he was still inside. The troubled couple eventually gave birth to 2 kids. Debbie Johnson, formerly Glatzel, said in an interview for A Haunting in 2006, "Our love has only grown stronger. He was willing to sacrifice himself to save my brother." According to the movie, they are still together now. But, according to Chavez, Debbie tragically died of cancer just before the film's debut. This is the story of Arne and his girlfriend, who became his wife, Debbie Glatzel. She was there during the exorcism, she was there at the murder, and she testified for him, and she believed it. She stood by that, and they've been married the rest of her life. She just passed away from cancer. Beyond his marriage, little is known about Johnson's life after his release. However, Lorraine Warren stated in 1986 that Johnson was ready to work for a landscaper in town. He's coming home to live in a very good family atmosphere. Ed Warren added, "Possession doesn't last 24 hours a day. It comes quickly and leaves quickly. Arne understands what happened to him. He knows how to ward it off if something happens, and he won't be stupid enough to take on the devil again. All in all, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It is a bone-chilling movie that delves into the true story of Arne Cheyenne Johnson and his infamous murder case. The film takes some creative liberties, but it ultimately sheds light on the dangers of demonic possession and the lengths people will go to protect their loved ones. Whether or not you believe in the supernatural, this movie will leave you uneasy and disturbed. That's all we have for today. Thanks for watching, and make sure to join us on our next blood-chilling adventure.